PP.
Pondering Parenthood podcast.
The Triple P.
Triple P. I am your host, Mike, and I'm here with the lovely
Megan.
My co-host, my partner in crime, my ride or die.
Celebrating 7 years.
Coming
Almost.
up on 7 years. Yeah, well, by the time this comes out, we'll be well past 7
Yeah.
years. But
7 years of marriage, 10 years of knowing each other.
7 years of marriage, 10 years of knowing each other. That's right.
It's been fun.
4.5 years of parenthood.
Chaos.
That's what they're calling it these days.
Yeah.
So we're doing, this is not an interview episode. Every other episode, we're going to kind of delve into sort of our personal lives. We'll include some information about parenting, some information about ourselves. We're also hoping to talk about our relationship. So that, I think that's something that's kind of missing from some of these podcasts is you talk about parenting, you talk about like getting your needs met, making sure your kids get your needs met, but there's very little conversation that I have found around like how does the relationship with your partner change when the babies come.
Yeah.
So Megan, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to start the episode by focusing on pregnancy we had with Snuz, and specifically how that was during COVID times and the impact of COVID on the pregnancy. We probably won't get too much into the birth. Well, a little bit into the birth. Yeah. And then we'll end the episode with some current events.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on now.
Yeah. What's going on with our little ones and what's going on with us.
So we started trying, if I recall correctly, in 2019. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I think I went off birth control, I think that December. I want to say it was like beginning of December. I don't know, 2019.
I think, well, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the doctors say if you're going to start trying and you're on birth control, they say to like give it like 2 cycles before you actively start trying.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 or 3 cycles to fully get the hormonal birth control like out of your system completely.
Mm-hmm. And from what I recall, you got off of birth control like maybe like November.
Yeah.
And then
we got pregnant
like
in January.
From what I remember,
Yeah.
I believe it was my birthday, right?
Oh, right. We talked about this. Yeah. Yeah, I think I told you on your birthday.
Yeah.
Which is like late January.
We really didn't go by the rules, in quotes, rules, because I think we really only let it go through like 1, maybe 2 cycles.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were very fortunate. That came pretty quickly that we conceived.
Yeah, so trigger warning, we are probably, should have mentioned that earlier, we're going to talk a little bit about miscarriage.
Yeah. But then we experienced a chemical pregnancy for that pregnancy, which a chemical pregnancy is a pregnancy loss that happens before the 5th week. And basically fertilization and implantation do occur, but the implantation of the embryo is not successful, or the embryo stops developing. So that's why, because it's implanted, you'd still get the higher levels of HCG, which is what a pregnancy test tests for.
Right.
So we got the positive pregnancy test end of January, and I must have tested like 3 weeks or something, like super early, because those tests can pick up very low levels of HCG. And I was about 5.5 weeks along, and I was at school. I was a teacher, and midway through the day, I definitely felt like I was bleeding. And so I went to the bathroom and discovered that I was spotting. And that obviously freaked me out. So I called the doctor, and they were like, it can be normal to spot. But actually, yeah, I must have called the doctor right away.
Do you want to explain for our male listeners who might not know what spotting is?
Just light bleeding.
Right. And so, like, pretty common at the beginning or end of a period.
Yep.
And also pretty common in pregnancy. Like, it's common throughout the pregnancy to spot.
One of the early signs of pregnancy can be implantation bleeding. So that's why when you call early on to say, like, I'm bleeding, a lot of times they're like, well, it might just be implantation bleeding.
I know I keep interrupting you. Which you clearly don't like. But that was something else that, like, we discovered in the pregnancy process that, like, because, like, you know, if you're pregnant and you start bleeding, if you don't know, you're like, freaking everything is out. Like, what's happening? And, like, if you're bleeding a lot, then, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But we learned, I mean, especially throughout your pregnancy, like, you did quite a bit of spotting.
Especially with Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
But a little bit with Snuzz, too. But, yeah, basically all the signs that you are pregnant are also the same as the signs of period cycle.
Or that, like, something might be going wrong. Like, it's just, it's very confusing.
So it's all very confusing. Anyway, I started bleeding. I was freaking out. I think I called and they were just like, monitor it. And then by lunchtime, it was definitely more than just spotting.
Were you cramping?
I was a little crampy. So I was, I remember going to the bathroom and just, like, freaking out and tearing up.
I think you called me crying.
Yeah, and it's funny, I like, very clearly remember the principal was out, or she was traveling somewhere, so there was one of the the upper grade teacher was taking over her position for that week. So I went to her, and she was just immediately like, call Mike, go to the hospital, like, she like walked me through every step because I couldn't, like, think clearly, and I was just like, oh, okay, and so
really, she was really good in that moment.
She was great. That was really helpful. I kind of needed someone to be, like, really direct. And that's what I did, and we met at the hospital, and they, did their test, and...
They did their pregnancy test, I think, right?
Yeah, well, I think, it was just a P test, right?
Yeah.
It's that early. And...
Yeah.
And it was deemed a chemical pregnancy. So that was really, really sad.
And this was all before COVID.
This was right before... Well, yeah, this would have been in February.
It would have been January, February. So it was before, like, there was any kind of shutting down here, although there was, like, chatter. Like, I think COVID was already sweeping through China. I remember seeing people in masks. And I was kind of like... We were very much in a place where we were like, what? Like, people are just...
Yeah, we thought it was an overreaction at the time.
Yeah, at that time, yeah. But yeah, so a couple things about that. First, those like, very early pregnancy tests are not great because they test at, like, 3 weeks, but there's still so much going on. It's like, they're probably not the best thing to do. Like, it makes sense to wait.
Yeah, it's really hard to wait when you're wanting a baby.
Sure.
So a lot of women, when they're trying, are gonna test pretty early, I think.
The thing about a chemical pregnancy, from what the doctor said, was, like, most women have probably experienced something like a chemical pregnancy, because what it looks like is a late period. Because, like, you're like, oh, my period's kind of late. It's late by, like, a week. And then all of a sudden you start to spot. And then you just have what is basically a normal period.
Yeah,
it's just,
it might be, like, a little heavier.
Yeah, it's just a little bit late. And it's a little bit later. And so by testing at 3 weeks, you're really kind of, you get all excited, but there's still just a tremendous amount that can happen.
Yeah. So it would make more sense to kind of push off till your period is truly late, right?
Yeah.
Because 3 weeks in, your period's not even late yet.
Yeah.
So to really wait enough so that you know that, oh, it's not coming, can be a little bit more helpful in that.
And the other thing was, like, because we didn't, we asked the doctor, like, well, we've really only gone through, like, one cycle without the birth control. There's no way to know for sure, but it's possible that there were still some hormones kicking around that made it difficult for implantation.
Yeah, could be.
But I mean, really, we don't know.
Yeah, in my little research that I do, about 25% of all pregnancies end in the first 20 weeks.
That's crazy.
Now that statistic, I think, is estimating, like, if you could capture all, so, like, basically, like what you said, chemical pregnancies can happen to a lot of women who didn't even know they were pregnant,
right,
or that implantation happened. Of that 25% in the first 20 weeks, 80% of those miscarriages happen very early on.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was definitely an emotional time.
Very sad. We were so excited.
I remember you kind of, like, going back and forth between, like, oh, this isn't a real miscarriage, and then feeling like it was a miscarriage. And
yeah, I kind of didn't know how to feel about it, because it didn't, I felt so strongly that it was real, and then, it was just kind of like, oh, I'm not. Very shocking to the system.
Another thing that happened with that is that we got pregnant, or I should say you got pregnant, and then I proceeded to tell, like, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to then call everyone and tell them. So it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because, like, and I know I've spoken to so many people about this, and I know, like, very much old school way of thinking is you don't tell anyone at all until 12 weeks or after. And then there are problems with that, right? Because then if you go through a miscarriage in those first 12 weeks, you're going at it alone. Like, you didn't tell anybody, so now, like, it becomes harder to tell people you had a miscarriage. So, like, that's not great. The flip side is that if you tell people that you're pregnant and then you experience a miscarriage, you then have to, not have to, but now you're in a position where you then have to contact those people and say, hey, we experienced miscarriage. And so we learned from that time that, like, it's probably best to, like, tell maybe one or two very close friends.
Close inner circle.
And then, like, one or two close family members.
Yeah, because there were definitely friends that I did want to know regardless, and obviously family members. But yeah, I just remember, like, you were just telling coworkers or, really people that were not so much on our inner circle. It was very early.
I'm very much, that's me though. That's me.
You were just so excited.
I was very excited. Yeah, I was very excited.
So I get it. Once I started telling people, realizing that, like, most of the older women I knew had experienced at least something similar. Mm-hmm. Whether it be a later miscarriage or something like a chemical pregnancy. And some women experience multiples. Like, it's an extremely, extremely common experience. And it's not until people go through it that, like, then it's really talked about.
Well,
like, it wasn't, that's not going to necessarily come up in conversation.
Right.
But that was kind of interesting to realize.
So that was the baby that never was.
Yeah. Yep. And then we were told by the doctors to maybe wait a full cycle, and that we could pretty much try right after that.
Yeah. So we let it go for a cycle.
Yep. Which would have been March.
Well, the end of that cycle would have been, like, the middle of March, which is when everything shut down. And at that point, I think we were like,
what are we going to do?
We had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. The world seemed like it was ending. Did not seem like a great time to bring children into the world.
Yeah. So we waited quite a few months.
I think we might have
waited 2 months.
Yeah, maybe like 2 months, and then we had a change of heart where we're like, you know what? It's never a good time to have kids.
Well, I think so. I think I have always been of the mindset that like the world is a rough place. Is it right to bring children into the world because of how nuts it is? And I remember my grandmother, my Mana, saying, that is why you bring children into the world, because the world is such a crazy place. By bringing children into the world, you're hoping that you're setting things up better for the future.
Yeah, I remember her having a pretty big impact because she talked about, there's always wars. There's always always things going on in the world.
Both her and my grandfather were born at the, I'm pretty sure in the Depression era. Like it was like a few years after the Great Depression. And I think I probably would have held off, but I think you also were kind of like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like it doesn't make sense to keep waiting.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to say is that you forced me.
Oh, yeah.
To impregnate you. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Sure.
No, just kidding.
We conceived in May.
Tested positive.
Yeah. And it was harder to be fully in it and fully excited as the first one, because there was always fear that it would happen again, or you just constantly waiting till the 12-week mark when you feel more solid.
And did we test after your period, or did we test early again?
I probably still tested early.
Probably still tested early.
Or around the 4-week mark. I might not have tested that early, but it was around when I should have been getting my period. I'm trying to remember. I do feel like I was a little spotty. Like, because you can have implantation bleeding.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I had some spotting right in the beginning. So that was very unnerving. And
so that the beginning of your pregnancy and COVID, I don't think there was a whole lot different. Like I went to the appointments with you in the beginning.
Yeah, we had if we had gone to the more populated city, we would not have been able to do as much as we did at our hospital. Our hospital is more rural and smaller, and they really didn't put a lot of restrictions in place till later on in the pregnancy. Yep. So it was nice. Obviously, we had to wear masks, and they did like the whole temperature check at the door and all of that.
Well, and also that summer things let up a bit.
A little bit,
that first summer things were not as...
Well, yeah, and it's summer, so you can be outside, and people weren't as freaked out. I mean, I think we were all still freaked out, but...
we had lived with it for, at that point, almost 3 months.
Yeah. It was still scary, though.
No, I know. But, I think at least from what I remember, by the time, May and June rolled around, there was almost a sense of, okay, it'll be over now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, but...
Yeah. And in a way, that period of time was really nice for the first trimester, because we were on lockdown, and that was when I was the most nauseous, and I was a teacher, so it also aligned with summer vacation. We were doing the COVID schooling through June, so I found out I was pregnant in
May.
In May, I can't remember but yeah.
May, June.
I know, around then,
yeah.
And then school ended, and I was able to just take naps if I needed to, or throw up when I needed to, or it didn't matter because I was home. So that, in a way, was nice, just with all the timing of that.
And, I think the doctor's appointments were pretty normal, minus the masks and the temperature stuff. We tried to keep our distance to some extent, but we saw family and things like that.
But you're right. I think Vermont at that point had pretty consistently had low numbers.
Yeah. Well, again, we have like 5 people here, so.
Yeah.
The per capita percentage was very high, but the number of cases was low because again, we have 5 people, so if 2 people get it, like most of your population has it. So things. I mean, your first trimester was like pretty normal. You got sick a couple times, and you had like general nausea. What aversions did you have?
I hated chicken.
You hated me.
I hated you because you smelled like chicken.
Which we never really cooked chicken.
It was disgusting.
Oh, funny story. I made, like, pretty early on in the pregnancy, I think I made, like, buffalo chicken tacos or something like that.
Yep.
And prior to that, we really didn't cook a whole lot with meat. Like, I was still cooking mostly vegetarian at that point, which I had done for over a decade at that point. But, you like your meat. The Dempseys like their meat and taters.
Protein. Well, and we just found out I was pregnant, so we were trying
to increase protein. And so I made those buffalo chicken tacos, and you loved them. You were like, these are so great. Good. We need more of this. I will eat this all the time. And then the next day, I popped open the container, and you looked at me and you're like, if that needs to leave the house right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was literally
the next day. You were like, that needs to leave the house right now. Don't ever bring chicken into this house again. And by the way, you can also leave.
Yeah, and the smell of chicken was just everywhere in the house. I had to go to my bedroom a lot.
It's just really funny.
It was gross.
Yeah. Really, it was at the 20-week appointment that things started to change.
Yep, that was when the hospital changed their restrictions, and we actually didn't know. They must have called or emailed or something. I don't know. We missed a notification somewhere.
So the 20-week mark would have been like right in like the beginning of fall. The governor put out an executive order.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the hospital. It was like Governor Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was literally had been the night before that he put it out because cases were really, really rising.
Yeah, but they claimed that they had called us or they had tried to notify us, and we didn't get that. So we both showed up
to the 20-week appointment,
which is a pretty big, exciting appointment that you definitely want to both be at.
Yep.
And Mike was turned away.
Yep.
I don't remember exactly how. Was it right at the door and they were like not letting you in?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I had to go in by myself, and by the time I was in the actual room, I was crying, and the technician was just not
good.
Not empathetic at all. I don't know. She had something going on with her.
Well, she first, so you were like, can I at least video? Can I like do some kind of video to get my husband in here? And again, we have friends in New York City. Like, we have friends in places that were way more populated that had been going through this thing since the beginning of their pregnancy. Like,
and you could see on social media, like, this was kind of a normal thing that was happening. As partners were zooming in or doing some kind of video chat so they could see stuff.
And like, to have some empathy, like, this tech is there and like during the throes of this like crazy pandemic, and so like, she's probably got her own stuff that she's got going on. But yeah, I mean, you were like, can I like just video him in? And the person was like, well, no, because of HIPAA.
Yeah, she tried to say it was due to HIPAA.
And you were like, yeah, but it's my husband and it's my information.
Pregnancy.
Like,
I'm giving permission.
Yeah, like, and then she was like, fine, but I don't want to be in any video or anything like that.
Yeah, she was very, very worried that her face was gonna be shown for some reason in the video. I don't really get that.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Mike was on video chat during the whole ultrasound, which you can barely make out the ultrasound when you're in the room. So it probably was not very exciting.
It was pretty upsetting.
Yeah, it was very, very, very upsetting.
I didn't realize, I had totally forgotten about that until we went to the 20-week appointment for our second one.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out. I was like, this is... And you were like... I mean, you were excited, but you were way more chill than I was. And I was like, I was like, dude, look at it. And you were like, well, yeah, I mean, I've kind of been through this before. And then I was like, oh, I haven't been through this before.
The other thing that was going on around that time was, well, I guess prior to the ultrasound, is I had to go back to school after it being shut down, and that was the hybrid year. So I was pregnant and going back to school, and everyone was still very, very, very concerned about COVID. And we all had to obviously wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had to social distance. Kids had to be 6 feet apart in the classroom. So you had to move everything to make sure they were separated. They couldn't have any of the same stuff they were using. So every day I would walk in, you would take your temperature with this horrible thermometer that would tell you were coming out as 87 degrees.
You're basically
dead. You'd have to hand sanitize or wash your hands, and then you could go in every single day. You had to do that. And I remember starting after many, many times of doing this, oh my gosh, what if alcohol is absorbing into my skin through the hand sanitizer? So then I started doing hand washing instead. I wouldn't use the hand sanitizer, which I don't think is actually true that would harm a baby, but that was one of the things on my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was just quite a weird time. We had 2 days on for school, and then Wednesday was your at-home day. So I was able to be home every Wednesday and do virtual.
That's right. I taught lessons.
Virtual meetings all day long. Crazy.
And then you would have the other half of the class on Thursday, Friday.
Yes. Yeah, so you had half the class Monday,
classes.
Tuesday, and then half the class Thursday, Friday. And they decided, midway through the year that it was okay to put them all together again. And
it wasn't even midway through the year. I think it was within the first 2 or 3 months. They were like,
I'm trying to remember if it had happened.
I feel like at where I was teaching it was pretty early on in the school year.
Okay. And then all the regulations changed. Were they can be 3 feet apart, not 6 feet.
Yep.
It's what?
Yep.
Okay.
We ended up missing Thanksgiving that year.
Yep, we
again,
chose
cases
to
were
stay
going up,
home.
and we were concerned. Which, in retrospect, we should have just gone to Thanksgiving.
We should have just gone.
It was really sad.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, it was really, really sad to miss that.
Yeah, you made a chicken for me.
It was the first time I'd ever cooked a chicken.
It was really nice.
Because we weren't going to make turkey for just the two of us.
I'm pretty sure I cried, though.
Yep,
Yeah.
we both were pretty upset.
And I was pretty pregnant at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that would be end of November.
That was 3rd trimester.
That was a month before she came, about a little bit over a month before she came.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the birth?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wait, one more before the birth. The other COVID-related part was that we had to have a virtual baby shower.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So I went back in my files to look at that to remind myself about it, and we actually did it 2 days after Christmas. But the way we set it up was we had a Google Meet link, and I think we did 1 to 1:30 was basic baby shower fun stuff. There was a diaper raffle that people could mail us diapers.
Yep.
Some baby games and things like that, but it was all virtual through Google Meet. And then after that, so the whole thing was 1 to 3:30. So after 1:30, we were in designated slots. We would have either one half-hour slot for Mike's family, and then another half-hour slot for my family, and then half-hour slot for just friends, so that it could be spaced out, and you felt like you could still talk to people in smaller groups, which for what it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it worked out. It was sad, but it worked out.
Yeah, and I did end up getting a little baby sprinkle with the second with Mouse to know what that was like to have an in-person one.
We should have done a real legit baby shower because you didn't get to actually experience
it's
baby
tricky
shower.
Though, because you don't really need as much
That's
stuff
true.
for the second. It's
That's true.
a lot of random little things, but yeah, I mean that was definitely sad. Another thing that is kind of robbed from you. during that time.
Yeah.
But we made the best of it.
So the birth, Snuz was supposed to come on February 4th, right?
Yep, that was her due date.
Instead, she came on January 1st.
January 1st, New Year's baby.
5 weeks early, completely unexpected. We had watched Soul, and you were talking about how you were like starting to have some.
My stomach was starting to feel really weird, like tight. And
you thought maybe it was something you had eaten or something, but you weren't feeling great. And Soul ended just before. I mean, you had fallen asleep like the
during
last 20
movie,
or 30 minutes of the movie, but it ended at, I think it was like 11:40, and my friends sent a text and they were like, "Hey, let's hop on a Google Meet and just like bring in the new year together." And so I hopped on the Google Meet. You hopped on with me. Everyone on had a drink. I had not had anything to drink that night because, again, we were just the two of us at home bringing in
no, I was
the new
pregnant.
year. And you were pregnant. So I poured myself, like, I don't know, the tiniest, like basically like 2 sips of scotch to like just be like, Happy New Year, have a drink, and then go to bed. And 20 minutes, New Year's in, you're like, and my friends are like, all right, let's play a drinking game. I can't even remember what the drinking game was that we played, but you're like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I went to sleep.
And so when you woke up to tell me that you thought your water had broken, like 2 hours later, I had then had like 3 scotches and 2 beers, and I was feeling pretty darn good. And you come over and you're like, hey, I think my water just broke. And in my infinite manly wisdom, I said, no, it didn't. You probably just peed yourself. And you didn't take kindly to that response.
No, I didn't like that response.
So you went and sat in the toilet, and and the water was just coming out.
Just leaking out of me.
And I like got up and I was like, so like what do we do? Like, what's going on? And I think you got back into bed and you were like, well, somebody needs to call the hospital.
Yeah.
And you looked at me. And it's important to note that in our relationship, I am usually the one that makes the phone calls. I'm usually the one that is the planner. I'm the one that like does the stuff.
I hate being on the phone.
And so you're like, somebody should call the hospital, and you're looking at me.
Hint, hint.
And I'm just kind of like, Megan, I'm drunk. I am not calling a hospital. I'm not talking to a nurse right now. And you're like, yeah, good point. So you hopped on with them, and you're like, hey, my water just broke. Just trying to figure out. Oh, I should also mention that we knew that Snuz was breech.
Yes.
We hadn't yet scheduled a C-section, but at your next appointment, you were going to be scheduling the C-section.
Yeah.
So we knew the baby was breech, and we knew that there was a good chance that like the baby was going to remain breeched, and we were going to have to do a C-section. And so you...
So I explain all that.
Yep.
And she's like, well, is it about my water breaking. She's like, is it a leak or is it like a big gush? And I was like, it's just a little bit leaky right now. Yeah. And then I stood up.
And it all just, a bunch more came out.
I was like, never mind, it's a gush.
And they're like, all right, you should come in. And so we had also had we took a class. We were able to still take a birthing class even with COVID, which is nice.
That's true. That was all in person.
And that was all in person.
I think all of it, yeah.
Yep. And the last birthing class that you had gone to, I hadn't gone to it. I don't recall why that was the case. But
I think you were sick. I think you got really sick.
Maybe, yeah. But it was like the prep, the bag, prepping the bag.
The homework was to get your go bag ready.
So you had your go bag ready, and I was like, oh, I've got 5 weeks. I don't need to get my go bag ready. And so, again, I'm the planner. I'm the one that's most likely to be ready for an emergency. And it's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm drunk. You're sitting on the toilet, and I'm like, what do I put in the go bag? Like, what do I need to...
Directing you from the toilet. Like, get this. Grab that.
Yep.
You're just like freaking out. You were running back and forth, like from the kitchen to the bedroom. And,
yep.
It was really, you were very, very scared and nervous.
It's also important to note that this was on the 31st. I had one more day of break from school. On that day from break, that last day of break, I was going to put the car seat in the car. That was my plan. At that point, we hadn't put the car seat in the car. So we bought one of those, or we had been gifted one of those strollers with the car seat.
Yeah.
And of course, in that moment, I wasn't going to just take out the car seat. So literally the entire box, stroller and everything, went into the back of the car. So we get a go bag going, and we're ready to roll. and you proceeded to drive yourself to the hospital.
Yeah, because I was sober.
Because otherwise I would be saying in the story, and then drunkenly I drove us to the hospital, and that we decided was not something that we wanted to be part of our story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're driving. We called your parents at one point. Your dad picked up the phone and then hung up the phone.
Yeah, he must not have been able to hear us. He was just like, hello, and then it clicked off. And then he probably didn't actually put the phone back on.
It's one of the
correctly.
old school phones where you have to put it on a receiver of some kind.
Or he might not have clicked off. I don't know. Something happened because when we called back, you couldn't get through to my parents anymore.
Yeah. And so we're the hospital is 25 minutes away from us. We were probably 7 minutes away, and I'm like, oh, are you having contractions? And you're like, oh yeah, I've had 6 or 7 since we got in the car. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
But they were the beginning contractions.
Yeah, they were just crampy.
Yeah. So we get there. Again, with COVID, I mean, I think I had to wear a mask. I think.
Yeah, we had to wear masks.
I made myself coffee before we left. Because I felt
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, man, maybe this will help. And you're like, sure, Mike, make some coffee while I sit on the toilet.
Oh, my gosh, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Which is funny, because I never ended up drinking the coffee because I had to wear a mask, and I didn't want to just smell the coffee the whole time. So, I never ended up drinking that coffee.
Little details.
But, yeah, so we get to the hospital. It's 3:30, 3:45 maybe when we got to the hospital.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah.
Our doctor was not the doctor on call, so we had to go with somebody who we didn't know, which was...
That was a bummer.
Yeah, not great. But also,
Baby was still breech.
Baby was still breech, and they were like, yep, there's really no point in waiting. You've lost most of your water. We're not in an emergency at this point, but, to avoid getting into an emergency, we probably should just move things along. And so...
Prepped us for C-section. And
so Snuz was born at 5:48 or something like that?
5:44 a.m.
So from water breaking at 2:15, it was 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
It was a whirlwind. And I was so high on adrenaline that it all... I don't know, it was all exciting. I don't think I felt really that nervous. Which is kind of bizarre, you know? You're about to get cut open. And I was just do-do-do.
It was very surreal. It was oh, now we're doing this. Now we're doing this. Now we're doing this. And you're just okay, we're just going along
also,
for the ride.
Also, the team at our hospital was just incredible. Everyone in the OR was so great.
Yeah.
There was a woman in there who, her sole job was just to, walk you through what was going to happen. And so, I remember her being head-to-head with me and holding my shoulders, and she's just talking me through what was going to happen with the spinal and what that was going to feel like, and she was just so calm, and I was okay. And so I didn't freak out at all, which I feel they must not see a lot, because you could tell everyone was trying to be super calming, but she was just excellent. So yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was so... I won't say fun, but it was exciting.
Yeah. No, and the whole thing was very, very, quick and...
Yeah, and then you see the baby through the curtain, and you're just that was inside of me a minute ago.
And we didn't find out the sex of the baby before the baby was born. So that was a surprise to us.
Yeah. It
was a surprise to us, so that was cool. You don't get to cut the cord during a C-section, or at least we didn't. I had to cut it after.
You can, but
I would have to be on the other side, and there was no way I was going to be on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they left a little bit of.
Because you looked.
No, I did not look.
I thought you took a peek at one point.
Well, I looked up. I looked up through the. I looked. Yeah, I looked. Yeah. I didn't look around the curtain.
No. But through the screen. There was blood
everywhere. Yeah, it was awful.
Did you see any of my organs?
No, and I tried really hard not to continue looking.
Huh.
But they did keep a little bit of cord on for me to cut after the chaos of everything.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So after, I was like really surprised with, because after the C-section, like they bring you up, and then for what, like it felt like 3 or 4 hours we just had people. Oh, that's important. So because Snuz was early, I mean she was past the point where she needed to go into the NICU or anything like that.
She was 5 weeks early on the dot.
Yeah.
Like she had just crossed over from 4 weeks. 6 days.
So she was early, but like she wasn't early enough where she had to go into the NICU, but they did keep an extra eye on her, and so I felt like it was like 4 or 5 hours before, like people were just in our room and they were just doing a ton of things for those first few hours.
Yes, it was very dizzying in there. They told us that if she had been born 1 day earlier, that just by hospital protocol she would have had to go to Burlington. Because
I'm really glad that didn't happen.
Just for being that early, because again they were like a more rural hospital.
She was the first baby born in that hospital.
Yeah, she was the New Year's baby.
Which is cool.
We got a rocking horse and a quilt.
Yep.
And a little article in the newspaper.
That's right. And so hospital-wise and COVID, we weren't allowed to have any visitors.
Correct.
Yeah, we didn't have any visitors.
Yeah, we did a lot of video chatting with family and friends. And honestly, for our first experience becoming parents, I think we even talked about it then, like, it was a little nice. Like, it was very insulated and it was just the three of us. And just, because it can get busy if you're constantly having people come in. So that was a little bit of a nice thing.
And we had thought that we were going to be, that like we weren't going to be able, like if I left I wasn't going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
But it turned out that I think they let me leave once.
Yeah, again, our hospital was much more chill than the other ones.
Yeah.
Going like nearby, so we were very fortunate.
I think
with all
we
of that.
did at one point have like a couple of COVID patients on the floor, because there were only like 2 or 3 other people who had babies on that floor.
Huh. I actually don't remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember you like making sure your mask was up anytime anyone entered the room. I don't think I wore a mask. I think as the mother they were like very chill about what I did.
Yeah.
They didn't care.
Like, yeah, so if somebody came in, I put a mask on, but otherwise I did not wear a mask. And I wasn't going, I mean, yeah, I wasn't going to wear a mask the whole time I was there. Because we ended up being there for like, I think 4 days.
Oh, and another thing that I think was because of COVID that was kind of a nice thing was that we ended up getting this big room. Mm-hmm. We got this big room with 2 hospital beds in it. So Mike was able to like sleep in an actual hospital bed. And at the time I was like, wow, this hospital's just so wonderful. Like, we're definitely going to deliver here again. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until we had our second that like wasn't standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember bringing it up to the nurses like, okay, but where's Mike gonna sleep? Like, don't you guys have a room with another bed? And they're like, thankfully they were able to bring something in because they just didn't have too many patients there at the time. But that was not a standard thing. That was just COVID. We got a big room.
No, we got a room for like double patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good because again, you ended up being there. I think we ended up being there for 4 days. If I remember correctly, it was.
Yeah, we had to stay a little longer because Snuz was jaundiced and there was something else with her. Oh, her birth. Was it her weight? Just her weight. Yeah, her weight. They wanted to make sure was.
Yeah, she's a little nugget. She was 5'12".
Just tiny. She was so tiny.
Right,
and
was
then,
she 5'12", I think?
She was 5'12", and then I think she dropped down to like
5'3".
5'04". Yeah, it was something like that. So, which is normal that they drop weight, but they wanted to keep an eye on her.
Well, yeah, because it was like a huge percentage for body weight.
Yeah, and my boob was just so big for her, and it was hard to like get her to latch right away. But
you were a champ. You stuck it out.
Yeah, and you got to feed her with that syringe, which you hated. You were so stressed.
Well, because I felt like I was wasting. It was just like.
It was like colostrum.
Yeah, I just felt like I was because she wasn't like really eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
It all worked out.
So those are kind of the big the big ways that COVID affected our specific pregnancy and birth story.
Do you remember the that nipple shield?
The nipple shield.
Yeah, our nurses the first, like right after you had the baby, compared to our nurses later on, we definitely preferred the nurses later on.
Well, I aside from that one woman, I feel like I loved all the nurses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was just that one woman who just kept pushing for the nipple shield. And I was
Yeah.
like, dude, this baby's been out of me for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
can we just like
let her figure it out?
do some skin to skin and just give her some time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was annoying.
But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's how Snuz came into the world.
Fierce.
Yeah.
Fierce and ready, but not ready at the same time.
All right, so we're in the current events portion of our episode. So whenever we do an episode with just Megan and myself, we're gonna finish off the episode with a bit of a current events section. We're gonna talk about just what's been going on in our lives, kid related, but also hopefully a bit with like couple related, like what we're experiencing, the two of us. Because I think in this space there's not a whole lot of talk around how the relationship changes and just like the relationship challenges that come with having kids. So the other day, Snuz swallowed a rock.
Yes.
And apparently it was a very, very small rock, and it happened at nap time. Her teachers told me, and I was like, oh, okay. And then Snuz told me, and I was like, why did you do that? Why did you swallow a rock? And apparently it was a very, very, very small rock. And she said, I don't know, I found it on the floor. And I was like, Snuz, we don't eat things off the floor. And she said, no, but rocks taste good. And then she proceeded to tell me that she also has been like eating leaves and stuff.
Oh my God.
And I had to be like, no, like we don't just like eat stuff that we find on the ground, which like as a gardener, as like somebody who's like super into permaculture, it was really hard for me to say to her, no, don't just eat things off the ground. So I like had to really figure out how to not have her be like scared, because like they're if you know what you're doing, I mean, there are a lot of people who forage and things like that, and like if you know what you're doing, there's like a lot of stuff out there that you can eat. But like she was getting advice from another 4-year-old on what you can and can't eat off the ground, and so
That's so funny.
and so then that led to a whole conversation around how it can be hard sometimes to like say no to a friend, because like so she has a friend who's like saying to her like, oh no, like my mommy or my grandma or whomever said we can eat these leaves, and it's like
right, not just any random leaf.
Right. So we had a conversation around how like what are some things you can say if you're like if a friend is asking you to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Oh, that's great.
So this whole like eating rocks and leaves this whole like ridiculous thing turned into this like really great learning moment around coming up with language that we can say to friends when we don't want to do something that they're telling us to do.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I was really proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
I had a friend when I was like 5 or 6, I remember, who convinced me to eat sand. And then I took a giant thing of sand and just, it was disgusting.
That sounds awful.
It was terrible.
Are you still friends with that person?
I didn't know how to say, no, I don't want to, no.
Yeah.
No, that was not fun.
I used to eat glue as a kid.
Ew.
I was that kid. I ate glue.
I did not eat glue.
Well, because you're not a dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Mouse is having a hard time getting herself to sleep these days. And so for the last several weeks, I've had to lay on the ground to get her to go to bed. I think tonight I was laying there for like 20 minutes probably.
She's also in a very, very big daddy phase, so she will not fall asleep for me. And even if I have to like start the bedtime routine, she will scream and cry and just keep saying, "Daddy, Daddy," and it takes her a long time to settle.
Yeah, that's something I'm sure all couples can relate to, that like at some point the kid is only interested in one partner.
Yeah.
And man, it's tough. It's so tough because like those nights when you're doing bedtime routine with Mouse, and I'm listening to her scream.
Yeah.
It's like I'm tired. I don't want to go in there and do this. And also, it's just that much harder for you to do it because she is not super interested in you doing it.
Right.
And so it's like I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I don't want to go in there. Like I did Snuzz's bedtime. Yeah. Like it's like
you're on double bedtime duty.
And it's also just like you're going to be in there for like 45 minutes, whereas I might only be in there for 20 minutes. And so there's like guilt, there's shame, there's like all this stuff that comes with it.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I like feel shame around the fact that like I don't have the capacity at 7:45 at night to like lay on the floor with my kid.
Yeah.
Because I just want to have a minute to myself. There's guilt because like you're stuck in there listening to this kid scream and there just isn't anything you can do about it. And you're also losing out on your time to chill because it's taking you longer than it would take maybe for me.
Yeah, it's funny because like I feel like I can have so much more grace for other people, like for you, like, oh, you shouldn't have to feel that way. But like I totally get that when it's myself. Like I also feel those emotions. Yeah. So it's a lot harder to like give yourself grace as a parent than sometimes your partner.
I think that's true. I mean, that's true like with everything though. It's a lot easier to give other people. Like how many times have you, like if I'm feeling stressed or something and you're like, Bean, just like take a minute, just take a minute, like relax, like you don't need to do all this.
Yeah.
But then with yourself, you'll be stressed and you won't heed that same advice, right?
Yes.
So it's like, but I'm the same way. Like I think it's very, very common to give others around you grace that you don't give yourself. In fact, that's like in all of the like, I don't want to say self-help stuff, but like in a lot of the like therapeutic language, it's like if you treated yourself the way you treated other people, you probably would be a much healthier person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? Anything?
Current events. Mouse just wants to do absolutely everything that Snuzz does. So as the little, she is just, she just absolutely adores and idolizes Snuzz and anything that Snuzz is doing, whether it's standing on a chair that Snuzz is not supposed to be doing. That's where it's
excuse me.
It's really getting us is, Snuzz will be doing something she's not supposed to be doing and then Mouse will follow along. But one of the really cute things right now is Snuzz is in a phase where she's like, "Mommy, you want to look at this? Mommy, you want to look at this?" And then she'll like do some sort of like jump or
she'll spin,
gallop. It'll be
she'll want to show you like something she's done.
Yeah, it's adorable, but just a really basic move. And then immediately after, you just hear a little mouse go, "Mommy, Mommy," and like she doesn't have the words yet to be like, "Look at this," but she's just, "Mommy," and then she does the same exact thing, but it's like this little not even 2-year-old trying to do things that the 4-year-old's doing. So cute.
She does that in the car a lot.
Yeah.
And like Snuzz will be like same thing, like, "Daddy, look outside at this thing," and then all of a sudden a mouse goes, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," and she just points to the window. It's like, okay, yeah.
I just absolutely adore their relationship, and I want to freeze it in time because I know that as they get older, it's going to get more complicated, and like they're just so in love with each other right now.
Well, we've had little moments, haven't we, of like the heartbreak that's going to come from Snuzz being older. Like the other day we had we're very fortunate that even though we live in Vermont, which is like one of the most rural states, we happen to live in like a small little community. Mm-hmm. It's a rural community. I mean, we have a cornfield basically up against the back of our house, but we had since it's the COVID episode, there were a heck of a lot of babies born during COVID, and it just so happens that there were a lot of babies born on our road.
Yeah, they're all around the same age, just within months of each other.
Snuzz and our little friend across the road would have been like 2 weeks from each other if Snuzz had come on her actual date.
Yes.
But yeah, they're all within a few months of each other. And so we have specifically 2 families that we're super close with. And one of those families came over, and he has like one of those little vehicles,
like Power Wheels Rangers.
Yeah, but it's like pretty dope. It's like a sick Jeep kind of side by side sort of situation. It's got like a little dump in the back, like you can like put stuff in the trunk and then press a button and it like dumps loads of soil and stuff. And we were gifted a fun little
Power Wheels like Mustang, right?
Yeah, like convertible style.
Yeah.
Which I never had as a kid.
No.
Always wanted.
Oh my god, that was the dream. You would see those commercials. Oh.
So we were gifted one by our brother and sister-in-law, and so
anyway,
he was over. Yeah, he was over, and they were riding around in these things, and then they would like stop and they'd go run over to the play structure that we have, and then they would run away from that. And poor Mouse just like would run over to the car and there wouldn't be any room, and then they would drive off and she would just be standing there kind of staring. And like there are moments with your kids when you look at them and you look at their face and you can tell exactly what's happening in their brain.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there and she's like, but I'm supposed to be in the car with Snuzz.
Because she's such an active kid, so it's just the fact that she was standing still and just, like, watching silently as they were playing. Like, you could just tell she was so lost.
She was trying to, like, calculate what was going on.
Yep.
She, like, very confused. And then, like, they would run over the structure, and so she'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go swing, and then, like, she'd get on the swing, and by the time she would start swinging...
She couldn't keep up.
The other kids would run away, and so then she'd get off, and she just, like, she could not keep up with them.
At one point, her little lip started to quiver.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh. It was so
tough.
Heartbreaking, but also, like, nothing, nobody's doing anything
right,
wrong.
No, it's just part of growing up. But it's just, like, a little taste of, like, because that's gonna happen, like, there's gonna be a time where Snuzz is not going to want her little sister palling around all the time with her friends.
Yeah, I don't know. I really hope we can foster that relationship to the best we can to make it solid enough where it'll last beyond, like, hardship. I mean, obviously they're going to have, like, their own friends and...
I mean, look, my brother and I had a really rough relationship growing up, and now... You know, he's one of my best friends. So like,
yeah, and there's only so much you can do as parents. Like they're either gonna like each other or not.
Yeah.
You know?
And then I think about my cousins, and like they were super tight growing up, and then there was a time like when Lisa hit high school, and like Ariel was like is 4 years younger, I think. So like there was a few years where like they were they each had their own friend group, and then now they're thick as thieves and like super super close. So
yeah.
So I mean, I think it'll come and go, but it's tough as a parent to like watch that and be like, there's not a whole lot we can do.
Yeah. All right, hit me with the couples therapy.
Yeah. So, oh man, it's gonna be so fun.
Do you have a topic?
I have something. Yeah.
You're just all right.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not shooting from the hip here.
All
right. So. Our relationship, I think like most people's relationship, there are phases to it, right? Like there's like, it's like a cycle, right? Like everything is really, really great. And then, like little things will happen. And then we have, like days or a week or so where like we're kind of, there's some friction, and then we address that friction, and then we go back into this phase of being really, really great.
Yeah. And
we had that the other day. And I thought it was interesting where I was very stressed. It's summertime now, and so my work is very, very busy, and I'm working.
Yeah, you're working a lot.
I mean, it's not uncommon for me to be working 10 to 12 hour days right now.
And I'm not working, so our work stress life is opposite each other.
And I'm not, when I start to get stressed, I'm not very good at always recognizing that I don't have capacity. And so I will become like shorter, snippier, grumpier, And oftentimes my responses, while not meant to be like angry sounding, will sound angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a couple moments of things like that, while at the same time, I think you were feeling a little bit extra sensitive.
Yeah.
Which is something that happens. And we had a couple days where we weren't on the same team.
No.
We were kind of against each other. And though I find those situations always to be so challenging, because it's like, it's not necessarily like a who started it thing, but it's like, at some point I probably said something that was a little bit snippy.
Yep.
Which you, rightfully so, were offended by or impacted you in a negative way. But because you're feeling a little extra sensitive, maybe was more impactful than it normally would have been,
Mm-hmm.
which then causes you to be walking on eggshells around me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like you're walking on eggshells around me, and I'm like, oh, this is happening, but I can't really calculate why this is happening. And so I'm like, she's maybe feeling a little extra sensitive. So then I'm walking on eggshells around you. And now we're both walking on eggshells around each other, trying not to upset the other person.
Yeah.
While also trying to like manage our own emotions and get what we need. And I always find those situations to be so challenging, because it's like,
how do you crawl out of it?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it tends to, I mean, at least I tend to be very stubborn. And I think I'm pretty good at calling myself out and like acknowledging my role to play. But like at the same time, it's like, well, I feel like maybe you've overreacted to something, so I'm not going to be the one to necessarily like cross the aisle and try and figure this out. And you're like, you've just been grumpy at me. I don't know why you're feeling this way. So like, you're not going to cross the aisle. So like, it takes one person to like come over. And
you're usually the person to force a conversation, which is good, because I think if I didn't have you doing that, I would just be like passive aggressive the entire time. And so it takes you to be finally like, hey, I'm noticing this, like, let's just deal with it. Like, you don't say that, but you're the one to like bring it up, to start talking. And then once that happens, I feel like I'm a lot more okay, yeah, let's discuss it.
But I think my point in bringing it up is that like, I think that all relationships likely find themselves in these like, wow, things have been really great for the last few weeks. We're not really fighting. We kind of get each other. We're on the same page. And then you fall into these little moments, you know, whether it's a day or two. For this, it was just like, it was 2 or 3 days, and then we were pretty good after. I mean,
yeah.
You know, yeah. It has been like sometimes a couple weeks where we're just kind of like at each other's throats, and things are just not going right, and everything one person is saying is being misinterpreted, or is kind of like we're trying to meet each other in the middle, and then we just at the end like go in different directions. Yeah. And it's just it's tough, because in those moments it's like every single thing you say or do almost like digs you a little bit deeper in that hole, and coming out of that hole can be really challenging.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think it's important to note that, because it is true that I'm the one that's going to be like, hey, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
And you are really good at being like, yeah, okay, like, let's talk about this. You didn't used to be, but...
So, we're very different in that, like, I need quite a bit of time to process my feelings, or, like, how I'm going to word something, or... I'm way better at, like, which we don't do, but maybe it would help us, like, I'm way better at writing out my feelings than verbally saying them. And whereas you are like an immediate processor in how you speak, like you just come out and are so articulate without even thinking. Like, it's kind of impressive, but because we're so different in that, like, you're always wanting to deal with something up front when I'm not even like sure how I'm thinking or feeling yet. So like that also creates
some friction.
Yeah.
What's not so great is that I am an immediate processor, and I'm also an external processor. So there's often times where I'm saying things in order to figure out where I am at.
Yeah, or sometimes you say things that I don't even think you actually believe. Like, it takes you a little bit to be like, like then you'll later contradict yourself in the same conversation because it's like, oh well, actually I really feel this, but like you have to, you're the kind of person that has to say it and hear it.
Yeah, because I can't
figure it out.
I can't internally process if I don't like, and obviously like it's obviously not good to say something that you don't necessarily believe, or something that, like, if you say I feel this way but you're not actually feeling that way. But for me, I can't do it in my head. It's very difficult for me. Like, even when I'm home alone, like if there was like a little camera in the corner, it would just be me talking to myself.
Oh yeah, you're talking to yourself all the time. All of the time.
Yeah, I'm like a crazy person.
Yeah, no, it's really weird.
It's terrifying.
Or you're like cursing under your breath or something, like with work stuff. It's just like, oh man, like you're just always verbally. I'm just expressing yourself.
Well, and it's funny that you say that you need to like write things out.
Oh my god, when you give me math problems. Okay, guys, I'm really good at math. I really am. But Mike will just like randomly be like,
we'll be talking about like money stuff.
Yeah, or you'll have already had this whole scenario that you need to problem solve, and so you've like worked it out, and then you're just like talking at me, or like, so if it's this much money, and then you would take this away, and then you'd add that, and this multiplied by this is this, and I'm just trying to follow you, and then I'm like, whoa, like,
well, and my math is usually wrong,
and it's usually wrong, but like I can't think that fast in my brain, so like. Then I'll be like, I need a piece of paper. So, and then you get frustrated because you like want to just deal with it in the moment. No, but that's another example of how you're just in the moment. You are able to do all this stuff where I need time.
Which is like so like, and we know that about each other, right? Like we both know this about each other. How often does knowing it about each other actually help?
No,
I don't know that it helps.
Like, well, it's really hard when you're in the moment and there's hot feelings or,
In therapy, my therapist has talked about like the pause button. It's like, and like what I'm working on right now is like in those moments where I'm emotionally, when I'm dysregulated, which happens all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like practicing like awareness of how I'm feeling in my moments where I'm regulated, so that way when I hit moments of dysregulation, I'm still able to like hold on to stuff, and I'm able to do that pause, because you're right, in those moments like you're like, I need this to stop, and I'm like, we need to just go, we need to go, and it's like, no, we both need to stop. So that's what I'm working on, is like practicing that emotional awareness, so that way in those moments of dysregulation I'm able to still be aware of, even though I'm dysregulated, I'm still able to say, I need to stop, we need to stop, I need to move away, have a couple minutes to collect, and then come back at this.
I was really proud of you the other day. We were talking on the phone, and you were telling me about a work situation that it was very clearly stressing you out, but you weren't saying that you were stressed out by it, but like you could just tell in the way you're talking, like you were spiraling.
Yep.
And you just kept saying similar things over and over. And I was like, all right. I was like, you've made a decision. You need to sit with the decision. And now just like go downstairs and work out. And I feel like in the past, you would have sensed that as like a little bit of a...
as not an attack. No, I would have...
I don't know if attack is the right word, but like you would have been like, whoa. But you actually just were like, yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, I'm gonna go do that. And I think that helped you so much.
It did. And I don't think it's unfair to say it. I mean, in the lizard brain, I would have seen that as an attack, and I would have reacted.
You were already in that state of mind where like everything's more of a threat.
Yep.
And
I was in survival mode.
Yeah. And so I know you've been working on that a lot, where you're like trying to recognize, okay, what's gonna actually help me in this situation? I need to like take a pause or a break and think about what to do.
Yeah. No, and that was super helpful, and I did that. I think I worked for like 10 or 15 minutes more, and then I
came home and you were like in a super great mood.
Yep.
So yeah.
There it is.
Couples therapy, man.
In front of everyone. I think we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
We're all therapized.
Yeah, our everything is perfect now, everyone.
Yep.
We're perfect. Our kids are perfect.
Like, follow, Subscribe.
Post it on your socials. Tell all your friends.
Share if you like something you hear. We now officially have an Instagram page, Pondering Parenthood Pod, and a YouTube channel. Nothing's been posted on it yet, but it's there. As well as a Facebook page.
Yep.
So, any way you want to communicate with us,
and of course,
connect.
Our email is ponderingparenthoodpodcast@gmail.com. No one has emailed us.
Yeah, we're actually really, really depressed.
Yeah, we're working really hard. We're putting this out into the world, and I mean, come on, guys, we're getting nothing.
Just like a hello, it would be nice. But honestly, this has been it's a little passion project. We've been enjoying it, and it's been fun just to share with our family and friends.
I gotta tell you guys, Megan has, and maybe it's because as a teacher she's off work right now, but like all of the editing, any of the social media stuff going on, the fact that we're now on not just Spotify but Apple Podcast and iHeartRadio
Forgot about that.
or iHeart Podcast, whatever. All that, I literally am just like, I just want to sit down and talk to people, and Megan's like, cool, you do that, and then I will do literally everything else to make the podcast happen. So thank you.
Yeah.
For doing that.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've been learning a lot. I think, I'm in the generation of technology and picking things up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say super quick, but quick enough learning.
I think the Gen Zers would just be laughing at you. Or is it Alpha? I don't know what.
I have no idea anymore. I don't know.
All right, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.